Hello everyone, welcome to this week's video from the Purple Penny. My name's Mark. I own and run the Purple Penny along with my wife Catherine. The Purple Penny's a small coin and banknote dealer. We're in the northern suburbs of Adelaide at a place called Mawson Lakes. We're open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. We sell through the shop and we also sell through our website, thepurplepenny.com, and occasionally through our Facebook page. So if you jump onto Facebook and search for the Purple Penny, you'll find our Facebook page fairly easily. We try to have these videos every Monday at about this time, which is 12 PM Adelaide time, and try to talk about a topic of the day. Today it's the last Monday of the month, which means it's a question and answer day. But I've not had any questions today, so I have pre-prepared a couple of things to talk about, including dipping my toes back into a bit of coin news, because there is a little bit interesting going on in the world of coins that I thought I'd share with you. Before we get started, I'll say hello to people who've said hello today. Hello Sam, Peter, Damien, Stuart, Catherine who's watching, Peter, another Peter, and Gwen. So thank you for joining in today. What I thought I would get started with today is a new release that's coming up in a couple of weeks, and this is all the information that we can share with you at the moment. There is some dollar coins coming out that celebrate the 45th anniversary of the Women's Weekly magazine birthday cake book. And I believe they're dollar coins. Well, I don't believe it, I know they're dollar coins. This is all the media we've got to share with you at the moment. It's a cooperative release between Women's Weekly, the RAM, and News Express. The primary channel that these things are being distributed is through News Express, who are a chain of news agents around Australia. We will have some stock of them, so on the 12th of June we'll have some stock. I can't unfortunately share with you what format the products are at the moment, but there are a number of dollar coins, and if we sort of think back at AFL coins or coin hunt coins and things like that, you're probably going to deduce fairly quickly what sort of format these things are going to be released in. We'll have stock available in the shop, only limited amounts, and I guess don't forget, if you are planning on getting this and you are in Adelaide, do think about purchasing it from us, because we are going out of our way to get this stuff for local collectors. Now, the second bit of coin news for this week is, and this comes from a gentleman on YouTube who said he misses my metal detecting finds segment. So I did find something really interesting this morning. Some hikers in the Czech Republic found a 7-kilo hoard of coins, bracelets and snuff boxes. And the bracelets and snuff boxes included 598 gold coins dating from 1808 to 1915. And those coins came from various countries, including France, Belgium, Russia, the former Empire of Austria-Hungary, and Serbia and Bosnia, which at that point were separate countries. And it was perhaps hidden in 1938. Where it was located was partway between ethnic German towns and ethnic Czech towns that had considerable strife when the Nazis invaded, and perhaps this was hidden in 1938 prior to the invasion of Germany and was never recovered. It's expected to be valued at about $500,000 US, so quite a remarkable find. And I thought I would just share a little bit of what we experience here in the shop with people of Central European or Eastern European ancestry whose parents perhaps or grandparents escaped Europe either just prior to World War II or after World War II. It's amazing how often those people's grandparents or parents brought whatever wealth they had left to Australia in the form of gold coins. So it was not unusual for people to have converted what wealth they could into gold coins, because of course they were easily portable, and you hear stories of women who had them sewn into the hems of their dresses or into their petticoats to pass checkpoints and things like that. And often those gold coins made it here to Australia. So I suspect that this find is along a similar line. A family, or perhaps a group of families, have pulled their wealth and hidden it, perhaps planning on coming back to it, and never came back. So interesting, not an old find, but an interesting find that looks back on history that isn't that too long ago. Just say a few more hellos before we continue. Hello Ted, JJ, Ray, Alan, thanks for joining in, Alan. Peter, yeah, probably. John Sharp says, greetings Catherine and Mark, excellent to have a chat on Thursday, love my purchases, what a great display in the shop. Thanks John, and happy birthday, and I hope you enjoyed your visit to Adelaide. And George, thank you for joining in today. Now Peter Andrews, who's watching at the moment, publishes Australia's probably only independent coin magazine called Independent Coin News, and it's available online for free, which these days you don't get anything for free, but Peter somehow manages to convince authors and himself to write a significant amount of content for the Independent Coin News magazine. It is peer reviewed, which perhaps other coin magazines are not, and includes some interesting technical articles as well as a roundup of coin auctions and what's going on in the world of coins. The June edition is due out in the next week or so, and it includes articles about different effigy sizes on 2-cent coins, collect and clip planchet errors, and how to tell if a bullseye error is genuine. A bullseye error being a $2 coin with the paint on the wrong side, because of course a few years ago there were some fakes of those getting around, and unfortunately PCGS chose to grade some of them without knowing, and that whole market now is quite different to what it used to be. But there are some fairly simple things you can use to determine if a bullseye error is a real one or a fake one. So, and the reason I'm giving Peter a big pumping up Peter's tyres like that is because he was kind enough to share these graphs with me this morning. These are 2012 $2 red poppy sales from almost the beginning of 2023 to date, and doesn't include any coins with damaged paint. So up the top there is the volume of sales per month, and down the bottom there is the actual value of those sales on eBay per month. And you can see that the volume has definitely tailed off since early 2023, and is probably about 2/3 of it now of what it was then. So we're looking at a volume of per month perhaps 70 sales per month, up to a peak of about 100 sales per month, and now we're sort of down around 30 sales per month, so that's actually halved. And interesting to look at the prices. Back at the beginning of 2023, the prices were clustered in the $300 to $400 range, and now they are firmly clustered in the $200 to $300 range. So the price of those 2012 red poppies has fallen back somewhat, perhaps dropped 30% or so in the last 2 years. So that's an interesting graph there. And you know, speaking as an owner of a coin shop, and you know, while we only see things at a micro level here in the shop, obviously we're not the entire market. There's no doubt that the $2 coin market has softened, and whether that's because the hype from the coronation and the Queen's passing has died away, it's hard to say. Cost of living, I sort of hesitate to fall back on cost of living as an excuse for everything, but I'm sure that doesn't help. But yeah, we certainly have seen a softening in the $2 coin market. Now, because we don't have any questions, I thought what I would do is talk about buying banknotes at auction. I'm not talking about room auctions, I'm talking about buying online auctions. And there's two reasons why I'm bringing this up. I've had 2 conversations with people in the last fortnight that have bought banknotes at auction, and one of them was disappointed with what they received, and the other one was disappointed when he realised that similar notes were available in our shop for considerably less than what he'd paid at auction. So, you know, while I don't like to sort of toot our own horn, we do have a fairly good selection of banknotes here in the shop. They're not all on display, but we do have them in folders available to view, and they are, I like to think, accurately graded, and certainly any problems with them are well described, and the pricing of them is fairly keen. As I said, if you buy banknotes at auction, there's a good chance you'll find the same note here in this shop for less than what you'll pay for it at auction. So what is it that makes buying banknotes at auction so dangerous? And I can see Peter Andrews has said there, buying banknotes at auction, you're a braver man than I. It's incredibly difficult to grade coins from images. It is basically impossible to grade banknotes from images. I find I can usually have a decent go at having an approximate grading of a coin from a decent image, but banknotes, it's just impossible. You might be able to pick some faults, but you certainly can't place a grade on it. So it is important to realise that if you are thinking about buying banknotes, is that probably the two biggest determining factors on the price of a banknote compared to its catalogue value are the grade and imperfections. They really set the value based on the catalogue value, and it's not unusual for an uncirculated note to be worth 10, 15, 20, 30 times an average circulated note. And it's not unusual for imperfections such as pinholes and splits and things like that to drop the price of a note by 75 or 80%. And when you realise that seemingly minor imperfections like that, because often they're easily overlooked even when you have the note in hand, you should realise that that can have a huge effect on the price, and it is very easy to miss those imperfections online, much easier than missing them in hand. So you've got to ask yourself, do you understand the implications that they have on the value of a note? Do you know how to grade a banknote? If you're spending lots of money on banknotes and you don't know how to grade them, then I would probably stop buying banknotes and start learning how to grade them, because again, while it's not always about returns on collecting things, because if you're collecting banknotes you should enjoy collecting them rather than for financial gains, you obviously don't want to be throwing money away by buying supposedly uncirculated banknotes that are not uncirculated. Now, it doesn't mean if you do grade the notes accurately that you're going to make money on them, but you are at least maximising your opportunities to get more of your money back when you do dispose of your collection. So if you don't know how to grade banknotes, I wouldn't be buying them. And you're quite welcome to come in here if you are in Adelaide, and I'll spend 5 minutes with you and show you how I grade banknotes, the tools that I use, and the ease there is of mistaking an almost uncirculated banknote for an uncirculated banknote, or vice versa. So if you are going to buy them online, are you buying from a specialist auctioneer or versus a general auctioneer? So here in Adelaide, there are no specialist coin and banknote auction houses. There are a number of what I would call general auction houses. Some of them specialise more in collectibles, whereas others are general clearance auction houses, but they all auction coins and banknotes here in Adelaide. So, for me as a collector, if I was looking to buy banknotes from any of those auction houses, I would take that into account when I am thinking about purchasing something off of them. And we have had a number of people come in here with banknotes that they've purchased from those houses here in Adelaide, looking to sell them, realising that we have them for sale here in the shop already for much less than what they've paid for them from the auction house. So if you don't have a specialist auctioneer, or you don't have a specialist auctioneer who is trustworthy, do they know how to grade banknotes themselves? And the reason I bring that up is because often auction houses will offer no grade on a banknote, or, and this is probably more concern, they will display banknotes in the holders that the consignor has supplied them in. And often those holders have sticky labels on them with hyperbolic grades such as, choice grade, very rare, or, just all this non standard grading hype, and those are the most dangerous things that I see at that auction houses offer. So if it was my choice, I wouldn't buy from a banknote from any auction house without inspecting it myself first, and then my next choice would be to buy it from a specialist coin and banknote auction house. But in either case, I would review their return policy on them, because often some of the general auction houses do not offer a return policy on coins and banknotes. And I would definitely not get into a bidding war over common things. And I do see this quite a lot, where common items get put onto general clearance auction houses online, and people get into a bidding war and they end up overpaying for what are common items. And if you want an idea of something as common, just go and look at sold results on eBay, and you'll find that many of these banknotes that people are trying to sell are quite common items. Just because you get a 1961 Coombs Wilson pound note in average circulated condition and put it in a fancy plastic holder and put a sticker on it and write V rare and choice grade on it, doesn't change what it is. A very common note that's worth $10. So we'll just say, have a look at some more comments before we continue on. Hello Matt, thank you for joining in. Hello David. David says he's a first time watcher. Welcome David, thanks for joining in. Sam says, if you're going to bid, set a limit and stick to it. Look up prices for circulated and stick to this only unless already graded, professionally graded, she says. Hello Patrick, and Peter Holdsworth says sticky labels can be a real problem. It's not just banknotes, it can be a problem with coins as well. I thought that we would have a quick look at some of the types of listings that I saw this morning while I was preparing this video. So this is a fairly scarce Hong Kong note, a $10 Hong Kong note from the Chartered Bank of India, Australia and China, and it's described as having various pinholes and split C photos. So to the credit of the auction house here, they have allowed the flaws of the note to be described, and I suspect, judging by the poor English, it was probably the consignor that supplied that description. So to their credit, they have provided fairly clear images and a brief description of the flaws that that note has. But you know, if I was going to bid on this note, I would take those splits and those pinholes into account and probably conservatively grade it right down the bottom, you know, very good or something down there. Look up the catalogue value, find some sales results and bid according to that, because often notes of this quality, and it is a poor quality note, are much more obtainable than notes of better quality, and there certainly is no need to overbid on a note like this, because others are available and readily available if you're willing to purchase from overseas. Now the next one is this is more of a collectible focused auction house, and we've got a couple of decimal notes there, and they're described as they're catalogued with the Renix number, which is a good thing, I guess, but there is no grade offered, no description of them at all other than as photographed. So that's what you're paying for. You're bidding on something as photographed. So based on those images, I can see that the $100 note is definitely circulated. The $50 note, I have no idea. It is impossible to get an idea of the condition of these notes. Now, you know, if I was here in Adelaide and I was interested in bidding on these notes, I would go into this particular auction house and have a look at them, because you could easily pay, you know, with premium, because remember, auction houses always include premium, which is a fee that gets added onto the top of the price that you bid. You could easily pay, you know, over $200 or over $300 for these notes, and these are the sort of notes that are available here in our shop for face value plus a percentage, plus 20% or 30%. I know one of them is a first or last prefix, but $100 notes have a very small market, even in with first or last prefixes, and only command a small premium above their face value. These are the sort of notes that if you are here in Adelaide, if you're looking for decimal notes, come and see us, because you can pick the exact note you want and you'll pay probably a lot less than you will at an auction house, and I will grade it for you and I'll point out the difference between the one that you've selected and better ones or worst ones, and you'll go away educated and having spent less money. So I would caution against bidding on a note like that. Now the last one is this is from an auction house in Queensland, a very well-known coin and banknote auction house in Queensland. This is just a screen cap that I took from the PDF catalogue. The online catalogue, when it was still available, had a scan of both sides of the note. The scans were high resolution, a lot of pixels, so it was easy to blow the image up to a full size. As I said, it is a specialist coin and banknote auction house, so in my experience their grading is pretty on the ball. And if you read the description there, it catalogues the note properly. It says it's a Kel Heathershaw R6 half sovereign note, and they've described the flaws, pinholes and multiple small holes through centerfold, dirty, worn, scarce, very good. So that's a fairly comprehensive grade of a note. And when you get to look at both sides, you've got, from accurate scans, you've got a pretty good idea of what it is that you're going to get. And if I was after a sort of lower grade note, I would much rather purchase from an auction like this, and you may end up paying more because there'll be more competition, than from another auction house where there was no description and no grade and no note of faults and things like that. So I guess like everything in life, it's caveat emptor. You as the buyer, you need to be aware of what it is that you're buying. Do think about using a specialist auction house. If you know a collector in the town where the auction house is, and you can ask them a favour and go and have a look at notes for you, then I would do that. If not, go and have a look at them yourself. But the key is to learn to grade yourself and come into a shop like ours and have a look at as many notes as possible. And dealers like ourselves will give you some time and give you a quick grading lesson if you like. It's not going to make you an expert, but give you some tips on what to look out for, and you'll be able to buy notes at auction with a bit more confidence. That being said, I've never bought a note at auction, and I don't think I ever will. I would only ever buy them when I can hold them in my hand. I'll never buy them any other way. Now, there's a couple of questions here before we keep going. Hello, Tom. Patrick says, there's an auction about to start and they have older $5 notes all in consecutive numbers, 14 numbers in a row. Now, there is a bit of a misapprehension about consecutive notes adding value, and the answer is it depends. Sometimes they do. For decimal notes, most of the time I would say they add no value at all, because for a lot of decimal notes that we get in here, they come in sequence more often than they come out of sequence, and that's because people did put these things aside in groups. And the other issue with them is that it makes things too expensive. We bought a group of 1960 £10 last week, and they were all good EF or AU, I guess, but there was 5 of them in a row. And while it's nice to see them in sequence like that, having 5 in a row sort of takes the, one of them is worth several $100s, but 5 of them, takes the market from, perhaps being this big to being this big. So, I'm on the fence about consecutive notes. If I was going to collect consecutive notes, I'd probably just collect pairs. I think, a pair could command a small premium, but I think when you get to 5 or 10 or 50, it doesn't add anything to it. I really don't think it does. So that's interesting, Patrick, and I would be careful with them as well, because often consecutive notes in auctions are still circulated. We get so many people coming in here with $1982 notes and $1985 $2 notes that say, oh yeah, they were straight from the mint, straight from the bank, and they were uncirculated. But what they've forgotten is that they didn't come straight from the bank. They came in a pay packet and they were folded in the pay packet. So I would be just super careful about buying those things at auction, because often those common notes, you can come in here and we'll sell you some proper uncirculated ones, probably for less than what you'd pay for them at auction, with postage and things like that tacked onto the top. Tom says, what are the most popular in-demand coins that people collect? Tom, that's not really a question that I can easily answer. Here in the shop, we still, I guess our most popular market is people filling out decimal sets, looking for coins of every denomination to fill out sets. So we get lots of people in here at the moment looking for 2023 and 2024 and 2025 coins, because they're trying to have a set of coins for every year. But then we get other people that are interested in gold sovereigns. It's hard to say what the most popular in-demand coin is. Probably the most popular denomination is still $2 coins, but that's still only a very small part of what we do here in the shop. Right, that's it. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you again to Peter for supplying those graphs about the $2, the 2012 red poppy sales. It is super appreciated. I did see Damien Walker comment. Damien's the author of the Pirate Guide to Collecting Australian Coins. Good book. If you want to just Google the Pirate Guide to Collecting Australian Coins, you'll find Damien's website, and you can have a go at purchasing that. It's it's a good book, and it's good to have if you're looking to collect coins out of change. And as I said, Peter Andrews, who's watching, publishes Independent Coin News. Just Google Independent Coin News, go and sign up, and you'll get an email when the next edition is released in a week or two. So thank you to Peter for the graphs today. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you to Catherine for providing me some ideas for today's video, and we'll be back next week. As always, if there's anything you'd like me to talk about, please send us a message, Facebook message, YouTube comment, give us a call. You could always give me a call and talk to me, and I'll see about addressing that topic next week. Okay, bye for now everyone.